What's going on with you? Adjust.
Step back, Gary. We want to see all of you.
Trying.
No, we don't want to see all of you.
I know, definitely not on the Balize breakfast show.
Yeah, but you see, the further you go,
Hey. This is not the Balize breakfast show.
Oh, yeah, sorry, that was Brenda's.
behave yourself there, Mr. Griffith. You have to come forward because we're really not going to hear you clearly. So if you can do some adjustment, you gotta.
So, but Steve, you should really tell me. Please explain why I've been blacklisted on the Balize breakfast show. Is it because
my goodness,
you're not blacklisted? You think you're blacklisted, but you're not blacklisted. We have other guests to talk to.
Yeah, who? Watchman, a man who left the police service as a corporal who knows nothing about law enforcement.
Well, that is his prerogative.
Well, he never said one thing
we'll
negative
hear
about
from him, and then
last
people will
years.
decide. That's all. There are other guests to bring on.
Gavin Hira, a man who was in Coast Guard for 20 years behind a desk. That's your security expert.
Call it the Gary Griffith
never said one negative thing against the government.
Gary Griffith.
Come closer to the microphone so we can hear you clearly.
That is why it is now known as the Balize breakfast show.
Well, you call it that, and you're the only one that calling it that.
Well, that's what you feel. That's why the only people who listen to your show now between 6 and 8 are rabid PNM supporters.
Can we move on to the host of the program, Marsha Walker?
I've lost control.
Marsha, good morning to you. It's all you.
Good morning to the non-Balize breakfast show. That is after 8 a.m.
Oh my goodness, what did I get myself into?
You have no idea what you got yourself into.
I know, that's why I was blacklisted, Steve, because
all right,
of your...
Let's move on to Marsha here. This is Power Talks with Marsha. So go ahead, Marsha.
Yes, this is Power Conversations with Marsha Walker. Only Marsha. And I mean, technically, people will say, she's UNC this, UNC that. So, I mean, you should be happy.
Yeah, no, but I just find that sometimes it is so unfortunate when certain radio stations become so politicized. You have a senator who said, I'm not going to actually ever be on air with Gary Griffith is there. And you have another one who said, I have one at dead until I'm dead.
Listen, I have Ato Boldon coming here at 8:30 a.m. So let us get this show going.
Sure. But that was important to note. It was just important to let the country be aware.
Oh my goodness. Mr. Khan, are you there? Has he left us?
Yeah, he's
No, I'm here. Go ahead.
Okay. So we are talking to Gary Griffith this morning, and then we will speak. So we're speaking crime, we're speaking politics, we're speaking I want to know NTA. We'll get into the announcement where you had constituency custodians. But before we even, these guys just totally took over my opening. I had an opening plan, it's my first show, telling y'all what y'all could expect and all kinds of stuff and the importance of joining the conversation. And these two guys just took over my opening. But that's okay. Now y'all know the kind of back and that's why they needed a girl. We need some girls to come here and cool things down. Gary, I saw a video this morning, but I do not want to get into that right away. But I'm just putting you on warning that there was a video of you this morning where you spoke about asking Fitzgerald Hines. And so maybe what I should have done was invited him and put the two of y'all to speak together on the show. And you could ask him yourself live and let's see his reaction. Maybe that's what I should have done. Next time, send me these interviews earlier and stuff, right? So we're going to talk about that because I do think it's an important question. And since you put a challenge out to the media, and I'm now the media, we're going to ask Fitzgerald Hines. And, Steve, maybe y'all could follow up and y'all could bring him on as one of your ministers. I don't know that he will agree to come on my show, but I know that he will agree to come on your show.
He definitely would.
And y'all could ask him, that this is what the former commissioner of police have said. But I keep saying it's kind of like a mystery. So we'll talk about that later. Gary, you spoke about constituency custodians. I think that's the name. That's the official name. Sort of like caretakers. I call it a shadow MP. So that, and I appreciate that because I don't like that, only when the election bell is rung, these faces appear and, well, where were you all the time? It appears that NTA is going full speed ahead with, their 41 constituencies. You have announced that you do intend to run for St. Joseph. I think it's about 6 others. I saw Russell, Gail, Errol, yeah, about 6 others. You might have been the 6th in the picture. Are you afraid that you're creating a 2007 scenario?
Well, good morning to all persons, whether you're PNM, UNC, ABC, or XYZ after 8 a.m. That is going to be the perception by many, because there's always been that concept that if there's a third party outside of the PNM and UNC, they're going to split the votes. We would have seen that happen in 1981 with the ONR with 91,000 votes, not getting a seat, but it allowed PNM to get more seats in 1981. In 1991, the NAR, where Kamala Prasad-Bissessar was part of the NAR, she actually went against the UNC. And the NAR got 127,000 votes in 1991, and they didn't get a seat. But it caused the PNM to win many more seats, in contrast to the 33 in 1986. And then 2007, so that was 3 times where it is you had that major third political force. And that will usually come, and that reached the Congress of the People with 147,000 votes. So it continues to increase. And the reason being, Marsha, is that younger persons are no longer caught up in that vortex of, hey, mommy and daddy telling you this is a PNM or UNC house, your PNM or UNC till you die. Younger persons, because of technology, because of educating themselves much more, they're actually telling their parents, listen, there's nothing that you can gain by being a blind loyalist to a political party. And that is why that bridge constituency continues to increase, it continues to expand, both from persons who are disenchanted in the PNM and the UNC. And there's nothing wrong, by the way, for those persons who are PNM or UNC till they die. That is your personal belief. There are people, they're still...
I think there's something wrong, but I'll allow you.
Well, again, that's based on us on being independent voters.
Well, that's the whole point. It is wrong. It is wrong to stick to your guns regardless of information. When you know better, you do better. You are for growth to happen in any organization, for growth to happen in yourself. If you are faced with new information, a mature person would reevaluate their stance on things. So this blind support to any political party, and I am still a UNC member. I see on the news today that, we have another UNC member resigning. I am still a UNC member, but I am not a blind supporter. And I've told persons I grew up in
I agree with you, but I'm not going to attack or discredit those people, because you have it in the United States. There are 50 million persons, regardless of what Donald Trump will do. They are going to vote. They are going to be Republican until they die. And there are 50 million people, regardless of what you will see on the Democratic side. So if you want to call them blind loyalists, a PNM till I die, a born at UNC, and I will die at UNC, you have that in Trinidad and Tobago. There are 200,000 on either side, regardless of what the political leader will say or do. They are not going to change it. And that is our culture. It cannot change. It's similar to the United States system. However, those floating voters, that 150,000, dictate the result of the election. If that 150,000 decide, there's 3 things they do. If there's not a third party, most of them will migrate back to the PNM, and the PNM will usually win in a 2-horse race. The UNC has never won an election in a 3-horse race. Never. In 38 years of existence, they have never won at any time in any election when there's more than 2 parties. There would be more than 2 parties. The second option with that third party would be to work with the UNC or the ULF, and you would have seen the results. Annihilation of the PNM, 33-3 in 86, 29-12 in 2010. The third option is to go alone, which we would have seen, as I mentioned, in 81, 91, and 2007, where it will allow the PNM to get more seats. But at the end of the day, we are not here to help the PNM expand their seats by staying separate. We are not here to get the UNC into government. I am here as a servant to represent that 150,000, those independent voices who just want good governance, who just want to have this country get a fighting chance. And the reason I've gone back into politics is to give the country the opportunity for us to have that fighting chance.
Okay, so you are not here to help the UNC get into government.
Correct.
I do think the numbers, I have argued that all the time. I would have gone up against Keith Rowley in a PNM, what would be considered a PNM stronghold. And my entire campaign was based on educating what you would call the floating voter, the bridge voter, educating them that their numbers, they actually surpass the PNM strong blind supporters. I tried to explain that to every household, to every person that I met, because persons felt as though if they come out, it didn't matter. Their vote did not count because PNM supporters in Diego Martin West were so much that it just didn't matter. And I had to show them, listen, let me show you the breakdown. 29,000 voters, persons are eligible to vote. Keith Rowley, on his best day, has only ever gotten 14,000 of them, right? UNC would get 2,500, 3,000. That leaves some 16,000 persons that are available to vote, not PNM. The number of non-voters trump the number of, it's an unfortunate word to use these days, but it trumps the number of voters, PNM voters. And so, I do see in terms of like on paper where that bridge constituency can in fact just totally take it home on their own. If non-voters come out in their numbers, we can see a third party become in government, if you would run a strong enough.
Marsha, again, I'm hearing what you're saying, but the data will always show that the number of voters will never surpass 70%. However, what you just spoke about, let's look at Diego Martin alone. You said he got the 14,000 and you got 3,000. Had there been a Congress of the People, that 14,000 would have gone down to 8,000, and that 3,000 would have gone to 7,000. And there's a reason for that, because out of that 14,000, at least 5,000 of those persons will say, look, I really do not want the PNM. I'm fed up of the PNM, but I just don't like the UNC. And it goes like that. And that is where in 2007, a certain person called Gary Griffith and others, Rocky Garcia and Gavin Nicholas, it reached 8,000 to 7,600. It was borderline. And the only reason Keith Rowley, Colin Imbert, and Amy Brown got their seat was because of Patrick Manning's foresight to call an early election. Had he waited until, if he waited until 3 months later, the tsunami was coming, and that's why for a few months after the 2010 general election, we took control of the local government election. So it shows that there's a number of persons, even that 60% who vote, the majority is not PNM. But if it's between PNM and the UNC, most of them will shift back to the PNM. I could even look at your seat. Had you been on an NTA ticket in that local government election, you would have won your seat. There were people who hundreds told me, Gary, I am not going, and if I see that rising sun, I'm actually not going to vote for the PNM. And I said, but why? So sometimes there's bitterness and hatred, but the vast majority, even of PNM supporters, do not like the PNM. They're not supportive of the PNM, but their hatred for the other side is what will always cause them to go back to the PNM. If there's a third party, they will break away, and then they will.
Do you think that the NTA can win this on their own without a partnership with the UNC?
Only polls could tell. I mean, it is unfortunate that in 9 years we have not seen a poll by any organization, media house. There's one media house that is doing it right now, and it is going to come out shortly. Steve Kahn and others know that organization, and they are very independent. They are very, very professional. They did a poll in the local government election. It had PNM 38%, UNC 35%, and NTA got a little 8%. But when it was added, that's where Kamala Prasad-Bissessar and the UNC realized we work with the NTA, we would be able to defeat the PNM, and that's what happened in the local government. We got 60,000 more votes than the PNM, which meant for every 5 votes, 3 voted for the UNC or the NTA. NTA didn't just get 17,000 votes. The other 110 seats that the UNC took part in, many ex-Congress of the People supporters voted for the UNC candidate, and vice versa.
Okay, I'm going to stop you there because I walk the ground for local government. I mean, we walk together. And what happened, regardless, and I mean, your face, because we understood strategically NTA, we needed to push NTA, more than UNC. But at the end of the day, persons felt as though you had sold out to UNC, you had become UNC, and, the alliance in the end didn't actually really work because persons felt, I can tell you, and I will be very open and honest, I know people think that I've sold out to the Balizé. I have not, I promise. I just am an independent person. I speak,
Yeah, Marsha, that's not true. Had people believed that,
just like you.
if people believe that, you'd have been on the 6 a.m. to 8 a.m. Power breakfast show. So you're not. I'm so loud to the balance.
I'm not going there. But let me finish my point. I don't think coalition governments work. And what if this was a general election, we'd won, and you and Kamala fall out inside a government?
Perfect.
And that is a concern that I have. I do believe that we need to sort out one party. So I would say, Gary, come home to the UNC, fight, maybe become the political leader of the UNC. Well, I like Rushton, but I'm not sure, having watched, we can talk about, okay, the UNC's never won alone, but what we can also say is coalition governments, I'm not sure they've served the country. I know PNM has not served the country, but I'm not sure that coalition governments, they do enough to remove PNM, but I'm not sure that they are the answer.
I can explain that, and you're right. What we have seen in history in the past, whether it is ONR or COP joins with the ULF or the UNC, it will automatically spell victory for that group against the PNM. So even the local government election, it was a massive success because, as I said, it was 190,000 votes for the UNC and the NTA versus 130,000 for the PNM. That was bad licks. Let's not get tied up with the corporations. Had we put those votes in the 41 constituencies, the alliance would have won St. Joseph, Tunapuna, Lupino Bonnier, San Fernando West, Grandi, La Joquita, Talparo. It was annihilation. So even though, because how they set up the corporations, you're seeing 7-7. But again, because you have a seat in Port of Spain where PNM won 300 to 230, and that is a seat. You have other seats that will be thousands. So that local government election was a success. As you speak about coalitions,
Gary, answer my question.
I'm explaining that now. So because you said it wasn't successful, but the data of the local government superimposed in a general election, we would have won. And as it pertains to coalitions, there have been 70 odd countries in the world that had coalition governments. Some have worked, some have not worked. Likewise in Trinidad and Tobago, governments who stand alone as the PNM, they have not worked. But the importance is that what happened in 86 and 2010, it was a marriage of convenience whereby these political parties just joined together to get more votes to beat the PNM. And then what? And that was the problem in 2010. Winston Buchanan just signed something called a Faizabad Accord. Let's just join with the UNC to beat the PNM. And then there was no plan, no structure, nothing to ensure the marriage remained. My concept is, if there's any type of a strategic alliance, it must be a contractual obligation. It must be one where the political parties will have mutual respect for each other. Look at what has happened in the local government election. I spend more time.
Where are we with that? Where are we with that, Gary? Because it seems as though right now NTA is going alone. I don't know what's going on with Hope, PP. We have a gazillion third parties. Thus far, NTA would have, to me, is the most impressive in terms of showing that proper organization, that structure, announcing the custodians would be a step in the right direction. And that's why I ask, is NTA prepared to go it alone? Because I'm not sure that the talks are going. I heard Jerlene John say, Kamala is a unifier. That's her job. She's going to unite. But then you hear the budget consultations. I mean, Rushton Parry, they'll say he's on vacation and that's why. But let's be real. I don't think Anita was invited to her budget consultation either. Ragbeer. And so it's clear, right? I mean, you see Anita supposed to be the shadow for education, but then you'd see Khadijah talking on education matters. So, I mean, one need only look and you'd see that it's just the unity is not happening. And I'm also not seeing any talks in terms of a genuine, as you say, not a marriage of convenience, but, real, genuine coalition talks. I'm not seeing it. And I would like to say that I'm a little bit, on the inside.
Yeah, but you're correct. The country will see it, and that is the difference with. And this is not for me to knock Winston Dukran or Prakash Ramada. They have their personality, and I think the UNC took advantage of that personality. That is why just prior to the 2010 general election, the COP just basically caved in. They no longer became a political party. They became consumed under the umbrella of the UNC. And that was the end of that. I promise, and that is where those floating voters, they are a very sensitive lot. They are not going to sit back and just accept blindly that, okay, we're just going to join the UNC. They want the assurance that there's not going to be a repeat of 1986 and 2010. That I give the assurance to the country. So by me setting up the St. Joseph office, the headquarters of the NTA in St. Joseph, me being a candidate, announcing candidates, caretakers, custodians, future candidates, for Diego Martin Central, Port of Spain East, Port of Spain South, Chaguanas East, Sangwa Barataria, Lupino Bonia, and Point Fortin. And in 2 weeks, we are going to open the San Fernando West office, announcing candidates for San Fernando West, Sangre Grande, Moruga, La Joquita, Talparo, Tunapuna. So the point of the matter is we are moving ahead. If it is that, unfortunately, I wrote to the political leader of the UNC, 3 months they have not replied. And it's one thing that my parents taught me as an only child is something called manners, basic manners. If it is you don't have the common courtesy and the manners to even acknowledge correspondence to me, it shows that you have not learned from 2010. We are moving forward. And the thing about it is that with the NTA and those floating voters, we have nothing to lose. I am not going to sell out those floating voters as what happened in 2010. Whilst at the same time, I want us to get into government. The UNC, they do not, and I'm being very blunt, they do not have a snowball chance in hell to win this election on their own. 2015, you tried it. 2020, you tried it. And it's getting worse. So the perception, and again, Kamala's Prasad only comment about me in the last few months is to attack me because she loves Jillian John. Jillian John has made it emphatically clear to everyone that she wants to go alone, the UNC wants to go alone. Everyone else in the UNC, they do not want that because they do not want to be in opposition for 15 years. So it is to be seen if Jillian John has the power so much that it can override everybody else in the national executive of the UNC, if she can override the views and of the rank and file of the UNC. I've always been the prodigal son of the UNC. So the UNC, I actually won my seat in a UNC internal election in 2006 as a rookie, defeating Bazio Pandey, Kamala Prasad Bisesa, Wade Mark and company. I was the only myself, Sadiq and Manoa. So I have a very strong base in the UNC. I think that has become a problem and a concern. But I'm not here to form a coup d'etat. I'm here to unite Trinidad and Tobago, regardless of your political affiliation. I have no enemies. I have no persons that I see that because you are PNM, I despise you. What I want is a government that is going to be so united, regardless of your political affiliation. I want the best minds available to be able to make this a great country.
Well, we've got your new TikTok video there. It's
yes,
8:25, so we have just about 10 more minutes. We're gonna push the 10 and probably go straight into Ato. I have no time for myself, for any monologue that I thought I might have had. Let's talk your video. You did a video this morning. I don't know. I got it this morning, whether it was when it was. And you spoke about, let me see if I can find it. Hold on. But it had to do with the abduction of, remind me his name.
Brent Thomas.
Brent Thomas. And you said we need to ask Fitzgerald Hines outright that if he was the one that gave the approval, I don't want to, hold on, right. Did Fitzgerald Hines give approval to the police to commit an unlawful act? And I liked how you broke it down because, if we're talking sports next, you would have been a national athlete, annoying. I played hockey with Gary, y'all know that? When people say, why do you call him Gary, not Captain Gary Griffith, you pitch marbles. I said, well, I didn't pitch marbles, but I play hockey. And you spoke, if the Defense Force hockey players had to go away, the Minister of National Security has to give approval for them to leave this country. Break down for Trinidad and Tobago that video for me, and you can expand.
Yeah, and I'll be there within just a few minutes. So I was the Minister of National Security. I was also a Commissioner of Police. I think I'm the only person in Commonwealth that actually held both portfolios like this. So I'm fully aware of the powers that they have and the powers that they don't have, quoting a previous president. And I can confirm that there's no way that police officers can leave our territorial waters to be involved in any operation without the requisite approval from the Minister of National Security. As the Commissioner of Police, I knew that. Anytime police officers have to go abroad for anything, whether it's training, even on vacation, imagine as a Defense Force officer, if I have to go on vacation, you need approved, you need requisites. You can't leave the country unless it is that you have that requisite approval. And especially if it's so, imagine an operation of the nature and magnitude of trying to abduct a citizen of this country. So the Minister of National Security is the only person who can give such approval. And what I find alarming is that the media will not ask these questions. And that's what I mentioned in my press conference. It is so sad when we see things such as Section 34. The media will never ask you, Trolley, but you voted for Section 34 and you always speak about it. They speak about Emailgate. They will never tell Kitrawi, but you claim Gary Griffith was planning to kill a media reporter, but then you appointed him as Commissioner of Police while the matter was still being investigated. Those are when you look at CNN, how they deal with Donald Trump, when you look at Fox, how they deal with Kamala, you will understand that media, they go hard onto these individuals. We don't. We pull back, and that's why I'm asking the media, the business organizations, the chambers, the NGOs, the religious organizations. We are becoming no different to Venezuela. They are using their type of leadership through the firearm. We are using it through the pen. We have seen persons being removed by independent institutions, be it Commissioner of Police, DPP's office, the head of the SSA, Integrity Commission, the Industrial Court, the Central Bank. So in this situation, the media, I'm asking the media humbly, please state, did Fitzgerald Hines give approval for the police to leave the country to have somebody abducted? And if that is the case, that is something that could be investigated for misbehavior in public office. And they are refusing to ask that question because Suzette Martin was then promoted to that of Deputy Commissioner of Police. So I'm asking the simple question, and no one wants to answer, because if Fitzgerald Hines says no, it means that Suzette Martin operated in an unlawful manner, and yet she was promoted to Deputy Commissioner of Police. So with that, Marsha, I don't want to squeeze. I see my boy Ato is on. And
I want to ask you though, because I don't think that, I know the media has an important role in any democracy, but there must be something that can be done in the courts, whether it be through a freedom of information application, whatever the case may be. There must be a way, if it is that you are suggesting that it is possible that our Minister of National Security, our MP, he's a sitting MP, it is possible that he would have misbehaved in public office. Certainly that's not something that the media is carrying on their shoulders alone, and there must be something that you can do through the courts somewhere.
But Marsha, remember when the president did not adhere to the law and not send a merit list, the Law Association said nothing. Many of our independent institutions, they are mortified. And all I'm asking the public, understand what has happened here. The minister gave approval to the police to commit an unlawful act. Ask him the question. As it pertains to Ato, again, for people who are not aware, Ato Boldon in the United Nations, he actually made the comment. I don't know if he has a crystal ball. He actually stated that he expected Alfred and Lafon to actually get.
Why are you? Wait, I am not off of sports. I'm not onto sport yet. Hold on.
I love the sport.
I know you love your sports. I know you love your sports, and I know. And now I'm wondering if you're going to even leave and allow me time on Ato by myself.
There's an important.
That's okay. We will get there. We'll get there. Hold on. I have one more question on politics before we move into sports, because I know you're a sportsman. We would have seen two different headlines. And do not get into who the security expert is, but we would have seen an activist speak about, expecting more migrants. Then we would have seen one security expert warns that Trinidad and Tobago must get ready for the election fallout. And I have no idea, but we're just keeping everything with Venezuela headlines, right? Then we saw Kamal Maharaj, saying that he was kidnapped, taken to Venezuela, and after paying a ransom, dropped off at sea and said to swim and whatnot. Give me your thoughts on the elections, the unrest coming out of the elections. And, there's a saying, when your neighbor house on fire, get your hose ready.
Yeah, well, again, I actually came off the starting blocks first on this. That was Saturday press conference. And then after, the activists and everybody started following. Because this is what is required. And there's a reason why I came off the starting blocks early without jumping the gun. It is because in these situations, you'd have to be a proactive National Security Council. And you must understand, as soon as that happened, immediately you have to think, again, from my training at the Royal Military Academy, Sanders, they taught us something called then what. So if this happens, then what? Then it is that there's going to be a mass exodus. People fear political persecution, fear the economic negativity that you're going to encounter. What was done by National Security Council? We're supposed to be putting drones. We're supposed to be up in our intelligence system. We're supposed to be liaising with our ambassador in Venezuela. We have 7 Coast Guard vessels that I acquired for 1.2 billion that could have done the same thing that the OPVs could have done for 2.4 billion. They're all moored at Stobels Bay. They should all be at between the peninsula, between Venezuela and Trinidad. We're supposed to have ramp up our security initiatives in the police stations at the Southwestern Peninsula, having military personnel stationed. Nothing is done, because if this happens, the domino effect, Marsha, is that it's going to cause economic instability in Trinidad and Tobago. We have 120,000 illegal immigrants in Trinidad and Tobago as we speak. And the reason I could say that as a minister, persons came in through the legitimate ports of entry and never left. So what's going to happen is going to have more Venezuelans coming in. It can cause an increase in prostitution, sexual exploitation of minors, increase in unemployment, abuse by, it will cause human trafficking. It will cause these same Venezuelans now to be under atrocious working conditions because they are not registered or regularized. It is an incident, and it will affect our health, our economy, our schooling. And so with all of that, nothing is being done. And I am very concerned. So as I hand over to sport, I will ask Ato. Is that important?
No, could you let me ask my questions? Did you know that
I'm asking to ask him. I'm asking to ask Ato.
But you don't know what my questions were. Suppose you go and ask the question that I have.
I'm sure you're not going to ask this one.
And then you take credit for my question. And then you take credit for my question.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Oh my goodness, Gary.
Ato, you just tell the country that
He's Crawford
10.06 didn't mean that Hazy Crawford was slow because of technology, the type of shoes, the type of track. Because people are attacking Hazy Crawford and saying Hazy Crawford couldn't have qualified. Hazy Crawford was wearing a baggy pants. He borrowed someone's striped socks. So the type of shoes, the type of technology, the type of stadium to avoid the wind, all of these things. You have technology now that can see if your left calf muscle is 1,000th of an ounce smaller than your right, to build that calf muscle to get faster takeoff. So I guess, Ato, on to you, sir.
No, go ahead. Finish what it is that you... Well,
and I would like Ato to get his crystal ball, see that he predicted...
No. I have the crystal ball question. I allowed you the Hazy Crawford because I didn't see that one. Because we have hate on social media that's just too much for me to
They don't understand. And Ato, I think, will be able to explain the difference that is taking place. But I want Ato to use the crystal ball to predict what's going to happen in the election next year. Seeing that you knew who actually...
Do not involve Ato in politics.
Ato was a senator, by the way. Ato was a UNC senator.
I know, I'm here. We're talking Olympics. But I'm wondering, I think it looks like he's having issues with his internet.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's see if we can be quiet. Let's see if we can be quiet and give him an opportunity to say if he's here, if he's hearing us or not. Good morning, Ato. We're not seeing you anymore. Are you hearing us?
Now I hear you. My signal is not the best.
Oh, okay. So, Gary, that means you're going to have to be very quiet and allow him to speak. Can you do that? Can you do that?
You have a show with Gary Griffith and Ato Boldon on it, and you expect the internet to be able to handle that kind of bandwidth. Okay, let's see.
Well, we'll see. Okay, so I did not plan, but Gary has asked you about and you know what? That's probably going to take us into some kind of conversation, just like what I did with Gary. I'm going to ask the easy things first. Let's get that out of the way so that the more controversial topics we have some time with.
Sure.
You are an award-winning analyst. I'm not going to go into everything else. We don't have the time. If you don't know who Ato Boldon is, come off air one time. It's okay. And go find Google. But or drive and find the stadium and figure out. Is Julian going to take the second gold? Is she going to do a double? Oh my goodness, he's sticking.
He's frozen again.
He's frozen again. Oh man. The internet.
Well, I can answer it while we waited on him. I think that Brown is actually going to win. Not that I want her to win, but I think the hype and so forth. And I've looked at that American athlete. She's like a gazelle. That stride that she's going to have, I am concerned that she may very well. Fun.
Who is this?
Brown, the US athlete.
Not Thomas.
Brown Thomas is Thomas. She actually won the second.
Thomas.
Yeah, she won the second heat. So
Yeah,
I know
Gabby. Yeah.
sometimes because of that hype, I really do not know if it is that I'm hoping that Alfred can actually continue, but
yeah,
I don't know.
I do like Gabby. I mean, other than if I was not Caribbean, I would favor Gabby, to be honest. I like her as an athlete. We are losing. This is so lame.
It's my fault. It's just this is what
This is all Paris.
This is what hotel Wi-Fi can look like sometimes. I turn everything else in the room off. I think we have a chance now.
Well, I'm hearing you.
Sorry.
Okay, so I don't know if you heard. Gary gave his prediction, but he is not an award-winning analyst.
Yeah, I was speaking about Brown.
And he needs to bat in his lane. Do you think Alfred could bring the double home?
He was not about to say no. He thinks that Brown is actually going to win from the United States.
Is her name Brown?
Yeah, Brown.
No, Thomas. You're talking about Gabby Thomas.
No, I'm talking about Brown.
Yes.
Brown.
Oh no, you're Brown. Okay.
Gabby Thomas, Brittany Brown, and Julian Alfred are the three I think who are going to be on the podium. Not so sure about the third, but Brittany Brown she's a gamer. Can Julian Alfred win? Of course she can. She has one of the fastest times in the world. I think she's second or third in the world. But she's coming off of the 100. She's a little fatigued. I would, if I had money to bet, I would bet it on Gabby Thomas, not on Julian. But look, if Julian leaves here with gold and silver,
I said Gabby, by the way, Gary.
Yeah, no. Gabby is the favorite.
I was wrong with Gabby Thomas.
She's a clear favorite. She can make the most mistakes and still win. If Julian makes a mistake, Gabby will beat her. If Gabby makes a mistake, she's still capable of recovering and winning.
Okay. All right. Easy questions before we get into controversy. Why the torso? I'm gonna sound like a girl. I'm that's fine. I like sounding like a girl. Why the torso? Now I can tell you, we can laugh a little bit because social media, I asked the question on social media and it is amazing how persons respond with confidence. And I'm saying, really? Someone said, but Gail Divas win by her fingernail. You may have heard something where somebody says by a fingernail like a kind of a joke. That yes. I'm certain is not the truth. Others talk about how, if I read it, we're going to have a laugh, but, persons talk about bending your torso gives you strength. So then I say, but then why are we looking for the person who straightens up first? Do you all of a sudden go from straightening up to get the strength to bowing to get the strength in the end? Like, this doesn't make sense. And then persons saying, Marsha's common sense. If they'd go with the foot, then shorter athletes would be at a disadvantage. And you are being mean. Like, you're talking about common sense. And I'm asking a stupid question. And I'm like, wait. So we have rules for short people to be so that they're not disadvantaged. Well, what about basketball? And it's just so confident. So I had to say to somebody, I said, well, I appreciate that you took the time to comment, but I do have Ato Boldon tomorrow. So I'm going to just let him answer. I'm going to give you what I think so far has been the best answer. Historically, I'm guessing you didn't have technology. So you use the tape, right? And you need to dip into the tape. So you have the tape. The first person that bursts the tape, it makes sense. Why wouldn't you put it at the foot? Well, because then you'll trip people. So it makes sense that you have to use it above versus below. And that's where that torso rule would have come from. If that's correct, I'm going to plug in one time. Now that we have technology, though, can we not possibly change from this torso rule to, because it feels kind of like American football. You throw with your hands.
Oh boy.
How you call it, a football. Like, why haven't we moved from the torso to like the foot?
Okay, let me start with the easy part, and that is, yes, it is because in earlier days, in the chariot, what I call the chariots of fire days, and sometimes to the detriment, because in a race like Sunday night, if Kishane Thompson has the tape on his chest, they'd have literally pointed at him and go, "You're the Olympic champion." Now we have the technology to magnify and see if there's any space between them. Occasionally, the computer looks and it says, we can't make a determination. We saw that at the Olympic trials in 2012 with Alison Felix and Jennifer Tamo, and they were supposed to have a runoff. Jennifer declined. Alison went in the 200 in the 100, and then we also saw that in the case of 2008 If you want to show off your track and field knowledge, ask somebody who got bronze in 2008 in the 100 meters for women at the Olympics. Nobody did, because they went gold, and then Jamaica got the 2 silvers because they could not separate them. So that's the first part of it. We are not, because I live in the track and field bubble, in the track and field world, I really was not aware of how many people were ignorant of how it is you win a race, because the amount of nonsense that I have seen on the internet is like, no, you can win by a nose, that would be horse racing. No, you can win by, if your foot crosses the line first, that would be speed skating, which is why speed skaters always stick their leg out like this to get their foot forward. Track and field is not going to change. That rule is 100%.
And don't forget my fingernail one now.
Your fingernail one. Sorry, I don't know what sport that is, but that's not that. I can't touch that one. The bottom line is that we're not going to change this. Track and field is one of the cornerstone disciplines of the Olympics. That's not changing anytime soon. And I know that because it's the closest Olympic final in 44 years. So because the whole world is talking about, the Jamaicans feel like they got robbed, it's actually more PTSD for the Jamaicans, and I understand that, because they have almost never gotten the benefit of a photo finish call, and they feel like it's always against them. Juliet Cuthbert lost a photo finish in 92. They've had other cases where I think Gwen Torrance outleaned Merlene Artie. They always seem to come out second in those situations. I can say, as a neutral observer, I don't hold brief for Jamaica nor the United States. I saw the photo, and in fact, if you go on my Instagram, I broke down the race from 0 to 100, and then we magnified at the end, and you can see Noah is at the line, and it's a 2-inch space in between Kishane and the finish line. So I know the Jamaicans are upset. They haven't won any medals in the 100 for men since both stepped off the track in 2017. But that rule is not changing, Marsha.
Okay, I'm still going to ask one more question because I'm an activist by heart. But that's just who I am, right? So I'm even going to be an activist in sports.
But hold on a second. What would be the point? What would be the point of changing the rule?
Well, you worse than Gary.
Go ahead.
Did you see the beginning of my show? Gary
no, I did not.
took over my show. I did not even have the first word in. Do you know that? I did not even have the first word in.
Sorry.
So in Rio, women's 400 meter, and I mean, I'm like just pretending that you're like my
Shawnee Miller-Weibo. Go ahead.
Right.
Alison Felix, Shawnee Miller-Weibo, yes.
You see, you are my track Google. So she dives. And she dives. I feel as though there is a safety aspect to it. Now, I think I'm a better athlete than Gary, I'll be honest. He has more results, but I think that I'm a better athlete than Gary. Gary, just don't respond. Just stay quiet. Go back off. Right. Now, funny, right? I'm a goalkeeper. He's a striker. So.
So y'all are natural enemies.
Yes. Yeah. So, but I did some track a little bit. I actually beat Fana Ashby. That used to be my claim to fame in primary school.
Wow,
so when she was
an
in
exceptional
the Olympics,
talent.
Listen, when she was in the Olympics, I used to say, if only my mother took her. I would say I want to go to the Olympics. And unfortunately, I didn't come from a home where we saw past traditional jobs.
Right.
So I could.
Most of us did.
Every Olympics, I would go. I beat Fana Ashby in primary school. I beat Fana Ashby in primary school.
So now you sound like everybody who ever beat me at any point in my life. They're like, well, look where you reached. I used to beat you. Why should I keep going?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, and my daughter did track for a little bit as well. But she would have trained, right? Because I am the opposite. Since like 2 years old, she's been training for the Olympics. So, to me, you have this. Okay, when we're looking to see if we've run well, because we think we're sports analysts too. You see, look at how she's straightening up. So when we thought, we looked at Alfred and stuff, we said, look, she's strong. She's not fighting up. She didn't have to dip or anything in the semis and whatnot. Same reason that we looked at Gabby and we say, we really love Alfred, but Gabby is so comfortable running her heat and stuff. So to me, it's just not logical that you would want an athlete who is, he's had this, and this is in 10 seconds. You have to straighten up. And then, in your last 20 meters in the last point, whatever second, dip while you are going however many miles an hour. I feel as though that's just not safe.
Okay, so it's a very good question, actually. Let me start. I apologize to those who are only listening and can't see me on the live stream because I have to show you angles. You don't run from straight up and down. You're not supposed to. You're supposed to run with a little bit of forward lean anyway. So it's not a question of, oh, well, you're coming from straight up and down and then you have to find this momentum to push yourself forward. No, and Noah Lyles does a good job of that. He already has a lot of relative angle when he runs. So it's just a matter of furthering it, I guess is what I'm saying. So it's not, well, sprinters straighten up and then they have to get to the line and then dip for the line. You are almost supposed to be halfway into a dip by the time you get to the line because you're supposed to maintain your forward momentum and maintain your forward lean. So that's why it makes sense to sprint it. In other words, it doesn't feel like an abnormal movement to a sprinter. And remember too, they practice it. It's preached to us for as long as, from the time we start to the day you end your career. So this is not it to civilians. I think it looks abnormal. It looks weird. But sprinters accept it as this is how things are.
Okay, fine. So that's the easy questions. Let me find. Okay, this is the most controversial Olympics, I think, but I'm not sure that it actually right. So I'm not sure that it actually is. I think what we're seeing, similar to what Gary was speaking about with Hazley Crawford earlier. I'm not sure if you heard his little ramble.
I got a piece of it, yeah.
Yeah, well, it's okay. It's Gary, not important. So we move on. Gary and I have a love-hate relationship.
Striker and goalkeeper again.
Yes. Okay. I think what we're seeing is the power of, like 240 characters or whatever it is for a tweet. Things go viral, misinformation. Somebody put out, oh my, Simone Biles is pregnant. And all of a sudden I'm seeing it carried as proper news, and I wouldn't necessarily, we have lots of different bits of information that, depending on who it is, if it's the right or wrong person tweeting, we have controversy where honestly it should just have been, uneventful.
Yes.
So do you believe, from an expert point of view, that this is really the most controversial, or are we just seeing the fallout of social media and misinformation?
Every Olympics is going to have good, great stories, and they're going to have bad and terrible stories. I have been to Olympics where an athlete's fiance gets hit by a car and dies, like in Sydney in 2000. I think some of the controversial things here are the things that were kind of self-inflicted. Athletes have E. coli now because they have to swim in the Seine River. And the Seine River has been very controversial. It is, from all accounts, not too far below, sewage water. And you have a bunch of athletes with E. coli now. You're going to hear some stuff with that. You have the case of the boxer who, that to me was the biggest controversy. Oh, she's a transgender and this and that and the other. Come to find out, that was not the case. And when you really look, this is a Muslim theocracy who would not have sent a transgender woman. So a lot of people started. The problem with everybody having a phone is that everybody has an opinion. And I can tell you, during the Olympics, I hear the most nonsense, read the most nonsense, and that's just kind of par for the course. Because, like you said, everybody's an expert, and here we are at the mecca of sport, and people are like, yes, I know that about track, and it's the foot, and it's the shoelace, and it's the fingernail, and I know the rest about cycling and basketball. So I don't think this is a particularly controversial Olympics. To me, the theme of these Olympics in terms of the track and the field is who is not here. I think Mo fell at trials. Sharika Jackson is injured and she's a world champion twice over. Shelly-Ann Fraser-Price never got to have her kind of final run. The Olympic champion in the 100 and the 200, Elaine Thompson-Herah, is at home. So to me, it's a lot more significant for who is not here in some of the events. But I don't find the Olympics has been more controversial than usual.
All right, good. I like you so far, Gary. Take note. Follow him. So you spoke actually about Fraser Price and not getting to run her final race. And we put final in quotations because I think we all understand what we mean when we say final race. We saw that the chef de mission would have spoken a little bit about the whatever went on with the gate. We would have seen some videos. Can you give us, the truth, if you have it?
Well, here I don't know that this is the truth. This is my information. I am probably more informed than most, but I am not saying this as though it is the gospel. From my understanding, on the day of the heats, there was one rule where athletes who are not coming from the village, and most of the top athletes, I shouldn't say most, a lot of the top athletes, that's the same thing, do not stay in the village. So on one day, it was like, yes, if you're not in the team bus, you can come in, and then the rule changed overnight. Apparently, information was not disseminated properly to Sha'Carri Richardson of the United States and Shelly-Ann Fraser-Pryce of Jamaica. So they come the next day and they're like, yes, we're ready to go in. And they're like, we told you all from yesterday, if you are not on the bus, you are not going to be allowed into this gate. So it was frustration there because they were like, wait, we did this yesterday. Why we can't do it today? So as far as I know, it was a miscommunication. I don't know whose fault it was if the information didn't reach because the chef de mission and the team had been told and they didn't get into Shelly-Ann, or if they didn't get the information to Jamaica and the USA properly. All I know is Shelly-Ann and Sha'Carri showed up at the gate and they were like, no, if you're not on the bus, you're not getting it. And to me, that could not have, I don't know if look, it's not a given that Shelly-Ann would have made the final. I certainly would have bet that she would have. And it certainly didn't mean that Shelly-Ann was going to medal, but it could not have helped her to be outside standing up when she could have been warming up. And then when she did warm up, she had discomfort in reportedly her hamstring and she withdrew. And Sha'Carri, I don't think ever looked comfortable during the rounds, and that certainly could not have helped her too, because Julian Alfred was looking so good and Sha'Carri just never seemed like she never seemed like she embraced the moment, certainly like when she won the World Championships last year.
Alrighty. Now, okay, actually, because I want to just have you clarify for me, because you spoke about Alfred, and I mean, because that would have happened at the semis.
Mm-hmm.
Are you saying that, that discomfort could have gone into the finals as well? I mean, because the gate issue would have happened at the semis. Richardson would have had an opportunity to run at that time, get whatever she has to get out, and then come back to the final where you can have your proper warm-up, you can be in a proper space. You're saying as an athlete, because we want to be fair to Richardson, I'm not sure that I'm a fan of US. So I would be honest, I'm not like you, but I'm not a fan of US athletes. I love Gabby Thomas, but generally not a fan of US athletes.
I don't get to have that kind of, the joke is that I am accused of bias when in fact the fans are the ones that are biased, because they get to say, well, I don't like so and so, I don't like so and so. I like Sha'Carri, but I don't like Noah. That would not have affected Sha'Carri's final. It could have affected her semi-final, and she made it through to the final. So to me, it's a wash.
It's gone.
Yeah, it's a moot point.
The only reason I asked you to clarify it is because that you are seeing on social media by some influencers. So you're looking at hundreds and thousands of comment, of likes and shares and reach, where it appears that the Americans are trying to say that the only reason Alfred won gold is because of, and I'm really against that, because you shouldn't.
Absolutely not.
That's
absolutely
not.
And to be fair, I have not seen anybody from Team USA say that. And let me tell you, as a person
it's not coming from anything official.
Oh, okay.
This is just social media. So there's some influencers, and they're driving this narrative. I came across it on social media, and I'm saying, oh my, and I'm looking at like some thousand comments, and I'm scrolling through it, and I'm going, wow, look at how social media has just taken this victory from Alfred.
Well, the fans are going to be the ones with the inherent biases, right? That's because, I mean, when I wake up the morning after the women's 100, if Sha'Carri has won, great. If Julian has won, great. If Shelly-Ann has won, great. They have a vested interest because they want their country to win. We didn't have anybody in the 100-meter final. So let me just say this. Nobody was beating Julian Alfred at this meet in the 100-meter dash the way she looked.
Yeah.
There are certain, look, when the men come out for the 100, I go, in my mind, Kishane has looked the best. And I said it in the broadcast. I said, in my mind, Kishane has looked the best during the rounds. But the one question I have is his inexperience. He's never been in a major, and he's the favorite in a major. And if you've never been the favorite in a big race, you don't know what that pressure feels like. Kishane ran well in the first round, the second round, and he tightened up in the final. That's why he's not the Olympic gold medalist. So that was pretty much the plan. But I didn't have a sense of, oh, I would bet my house that so-and-so is going to win. I knew Noah would be there. I knew Kishane would be there. I wasn't as high on Fred. I thought maybe somebody like Simbine, who had won his semifinal and looked good. When the women came out for that 100, I was like, I said it. I said, I know the world champion is here, but this is Julian Alfred's race to lose. Yeah. And that race was not close. The fact that you had 0.2 and change of a second in between first and second, I don't want to hear anything about that gate, and whatever happened there had nothing to do with that final. Give Julian Alfred her props. Nobody was beating her at this meet that night in that Olympic stadium. Let's just clarify that.
Right. So we have about a minute. So, and I'm going to talk some controversy. Michelle Ahi puts out a video. I can give you my take on it, but I don't know if you saw it, but you know,
I saw it.
Right. So she said, you know, thanks to half of the trainees that support, the other half, well, y'all will support anyway. Right. And you have been speaking about the decline in athletics for a while, you know, long before. And this is where I would give Gary props, right? But you guys say the hard things before it becomes a bandwagon thing to see.
Yes.
And, you know, and I think that Michelle was saying the truth, not her truth, the truth, you know, apart from the people that aren't in the stands. So from top to bottom, from minister to supporter, I don't think we get, I mean, Jamaica, the stands are full for primary school meets. You know, I have a daughter that's supposed to leave to go to New York on Friday, and the funds have not been released yet.
Oh, wow.
You know? Oh, wow. Yeah. So
no, that's me pretending to be surprised. I'm sorry. I don't know if that came across. That is me pretending to be surprised.
Okay, right. You see? And that and I mean, you have spoken about that, you know, the funds, and again, to see persons on social media react the way that they react, as if she's ungrateful and she's this and she's that. I don't know if you know, but I wrote a book, a children's book, and Keyshawn Walcott would have been on it. And I sort of broke down the true story of some of our athletes in a child-friendly way. And in interviewing Keyshawn, I mean, the nightmare, you know, selling crab to get money to get into the stadium, and then the coach has to give him money to get back home and stuff like that. And you know, we only get on like this when I'm seeing Paul calling me. Hold on, maybe he's giving me some time. Hello? Yeah. So
I have time, by the way. I have about another hour before I have to go.
Hello?
Not that you have an hour.
All right. They're telling me I have to wrap. So answer in 30 seconds.
Oh, boy. Michelle Lee Ayi is allowed to voice her frustration. She's at the Olympics. She had just walked off of the field of play where things did not go well for her. I think that Michelle Lee Ayi is a grown woman, and if she wants to express her frustration at what she finds has been lack of support and lack of, I don't know, whatever, administrative success, whatever, that is her prerogative. It is also the prerogative of the public to go, I don't like what she said. She's a representative of my country. Or to say, as you did, Marsha, Michelle Lee is exactly right. And if that is how she feels, she should very well say it because it's her truth. I don't feel like I have to arbitrate. People are going to receive it well. Other people are going to say, you know, it's Trinidad and Tobago. People are going to say, well, you know, how she go say that? Why she ain't run fast? That is us. That is who we are. I didn't see what she said as being that controversial, but I could understand how people did not receive it well.
Do you believe we support our athletes?
No.
That's a wrap.
But, and it's a long but. It's not a simple answer.
Okay. You know what? I'm gonna ask you to come on after the Olympics, and maybe we won't have Gary and we'll just have you for the whole hour because, you know, the people want to hear from you some more.
And I have a much better internet signal.
I'm being told we have to wrap up. Guys,
the Jamaican won the 100-meter final by Ato.
We have to wrap. We have to
Especially
wrap
a
up.
bad joke, Gary.
We have to wrap up. And we have Kishon running on Thursday. Congratulations.
Throwing.
Throwing on Thursday.
Because if Kishon is running, we in bad shape.
And Jareen and Richardson running this afternoon. We didn't get to talk about us not having a men's relay team. Oh, Lossie. Guys, yeah, so we'll talk about that another time. See y'all. Thank you very much. I don't even know how to wrap up, but